I saw on Twitter that is just like has burned into my consciousness at this point. But if you see a homeless person and you chuck 2 pennies at them, technically their material wealth improved by 2 cents. They had 0, now they have 2 cents. But the homeless person yells back at you, says, "Fuck you," throws the pennies back. Why is the homeless person angry at me? I actually improved his material wealth by a dramatic percentage. I don't understand. Why is the homeless person so angry at me now? That is the way that the Democratic Party operates. When I say we need broad left-wing populism, I'm not talking about like a technocratic approach that will maybe unfold a decade later. I'm talking about real, genuine, immediate change. Like Kamala Harris talked about building 3 million housing units. Now, there's a way to do that I think is good, and there's a way to communicate that I think is good, and then there's the way that Kamala Harris communicated it. She said, this is the opportunity economy. She said, we're going to build 3 million housing units with a public-private partnership. This kind of language is just simply undesirable for people outside of the halls of academia, or people who are really invested in YIMBY urbanist Twitter. That's just the unfortunate reality of it. I think she should have come out and been like, we're going to build houses, we're going to do a federal jobs program, we're going to get everybody to work, and we're going to build public housing. We need to claw back the housing market from the hands of everyone that considers homes to be a speculative asset. This is not Wall Street. Every American needs home, every American needs shelter, and we're going to give that to you. That is left-wing populism. The technocratic approach that the Democratic Party follows is not left-wing populism. It's just, again, private-public partnership, tax cuts, deregulation. She even talked about deregulating housing. Now that might mean zoning deregulation, or that might mean deregulation that makes houses even shittier than they are in America, and they are pretty shitty. So that's what I mean. If you're going to lie, if you're a politician, and you're not going to implement any of your actual policies, then why not lie about broad, sweeping legislation?
Moinoib, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
Why simply lie about the most boring, technocratic, nerdy ways in which you will not actually implement any sort of reasonable changes that will immediately improve people's lives? So while Biden did a lot with the NLRB, for example, and this is something that I've actually talked about quite a bit, there was an issue with communicating that, in my opinion. They failed on that front. Republicans campaign every 4 years, or Republicans campaign every single day for 4 years straight. Democrats only campaign once every 4 years or once every 2 years when they remember there's an election. And so on that front, they didn't even do a good enough job of like communicating what these changes were that they had implemented. They constantly got held up in their own internal strife with the likes of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema that actually undermined some of these bills. They were too procedurally invested in the Senate parliamentarian. There was supposed to be a bill that was going to pass with a simple majority that would have tacked.
Yeah, the Democrats are good at one thing, and that's finding excuses of why they can't do what they're elected to do.
On a federally mandated increase in $15 minimum wage. The Senate parliamentarian said no, and the Democrats went, what are you going to do?
What are you going to
do? It's the Senate parliamentarian. She said no. Okay, fire her and then hire a new Senate parliamentarian. That's precisely what the Republicans had done under Dick Cheney, under the George W. Bush administration. There is no reason to hold up these procedures, and there's no reason to claim that you are the institutional norm defenders when in fact you have no respect for these institutions at the end of the day anyway. And
Sasha G, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
You know for a fact that the Republicans are always going to violate those norms and violate these institutions in an effort to get whatever their agenda is across. And Democrats don't do that. They don't fight. And I think that people have lost confidence in them as well because of this. And they have a long way to go, I think, to
There's something I've picked up from watching the pod, Johns. And yes, I will confess to doing this. The reason, though, if you will indulge me, is not because I am a fan of the personalities or the prescriptions or the the policy prescriptions of Pod Save America. It's just that, like, there's no other thing that when I wake up too early in the morning will reliably put me back to sleep the way that Pod Save America will. So I've picked something up from them, though. In terms of what they're testing, the kind of messages that work well, just like there's certain formulations, you've probably noticed them. The Hawk Tuah situation is crazy. If I'm going to make a video about Hawk Tuah girl, if I say the Hawk Tuah situation is crazy, I'm going to do better than Hawk Tuah scam revealed, right? Did the kind of formulation of messages that work according to political, flacks like the Podjohns are formulations like he will fight for you, she will fight for you, right? You want to know that your politician is concerned about people like you, and you want to know that they're willing to fight. And look at Donald Trump, right? He doesn't have, let's be honest, he doesn't have a lot going for him, but he does have that sense that he likes to fight. And if you are convinced and thinking that he has your best interest in mind, then there you go. That's the two components. So when the Democrats are looking for an excuse not to fight for you, when they're looking for an excuse to compromise, when they're looking for an excuse to drag their feet, when they're looking for an excuse to do a half measure, when they're looking for an excuse not to make any promises in the first place because they think that the guy that they're running against, we can just scare people with Donald Trump. Do you want him? If not, you better vote for me. When they get like that, this is their natural environment. And this is what's wrong with the Democratic Party. This is why I'm saying the Democratic Party either needs to be taken over or it needs to be replaced. It is not going to win elections going forward. It is not going to save you from, scary motherfuckers like Donald Trump. And there will be more scary motherfuckers, right? Let's say that Trump, he's an old guy. He's an octogenarian. Let's say he eats one too many McDonald's French fry and he keels over. Oh, cool. No more President Trump. Now you've got President Vance instead. I'm going to break it to you right now. President Vance is both worse in terms of the things that he would do and more able to actually do those things than Donald Trump. So there is no release valve. There is no natural time out of the time of monsters, the time of Trump. There are more monsters on the horizons. Just wait till Barron gets old enough to run for president. I mean, there's a Vivek Ramaswamy, Robert F. Kennedy. They've got a backbench now. And that should scare you, because when you look at the Democrats, they don't even have a front bench. They have, oh my gosh, who are we going to, well, let's go with Biden again. Let's go with Biden. No, we can't possibly go with Bernie, so we got to go with Biden. And then don't worry, in 4 years, we'll replace Biden with somebody better. And, it comes up and he's like, I'm staying in the race, Jack. And then when we finally do replace him, it's with somebody so indecisive that I maybe that is what doomed her from the start. I did like some of the moves that Kamala made in the very beginning, the choice of Waltz over the other available options, etc. But god damn, it didn't take her long to get disabused of the notions of doing what was actually working for her in the campaign. So yeah, there's not a back bench. There's not a front bench. There's not a cultivation. And when you do have somebody that has like cultivated any kind of image in the party, it's somebody like AOC who has also unfortunately cultivated a lot of hate and has had to do a lot of compromising in order to get even to the place where she's as accepted as she is by the party. It's a real issue, and I think there's a reason for this, because when you've got a small c conservative party, right, a party that's going to run the most defensive campaign you could imagine, when they're not ahead in the first place, you've got a guaranteed loser. And it feels like they're all right with that loss. It feels like they know they can raise money off of that loss, right? It feels like they don't even care. They're just going to go down into Mar-a-Lago and have a conversation with Trump and his team.
State to recreate.
When yesterday they were calling him a fascist and a danger to the country, right? These Democrats they got no future, right? These Democrats have got no future whatsoever. If there's going to be a future that is not, with the fucking MAGA contingent, it's going to have to be something that activists, that the base of the Democratic Party generates. It's going to have to be some kind of, energy that reinvents what it means beyond FDR and the New Deal and Keynesian economics towards something a little bit more, durable, right? Because we've seen what happens to those kind of reforms. When you just do reforms, the reforms get clawed back.
That trust in them.
You need to change the game, not just change the rules of the game.
Thank you. As we are here in the UK, I thought I'd ask a question about British politics.
Love that.
You haven't done The Voice so far during the main talk, which I think is
The Voice? This man has multiple voices. He's not an American who thinks that all British people talk with a posh accent or a Cockney accent or a, whatever accent, right? He's got several Brits inside of him.
We're all grateful for.
Unlike me, who half the time I'm just doing chud logic.
Still time.
I'm trying.
I mean his voice, chat. I mean his voice. God damn.
Holding on.
What do you think are the main conclusions that should be drawn from the general election this July and the subsequent first few months of the Starmer government?
Oof. I said this originally. Obviously, Keir Starmer, also known as Keir Stalin.
Damn.
He was slated to win. The Tories had the incumbency disadvantage that everyone experienced all around the globe, pretty much, with the exception of Mexico. And he was going to win regardless. But I was very worried, and I think my predictions are coming true already, that his approach to fixing all of the problems that England and the UK is experiencing was not enough. There was another side of this conversation that didn't get as much coverage, I think, even in America, the Reform Party's movement and how successful they were. I think that's terrifying. And now it seems Nigel Farage is a more popular figure than Keir Starmer already. And I said at the time that if Keir Starmer...
Yeah, it's scary shit, because even when you have... Let's say that Kamala had won the election, right? You're still in a situation where people don't feel great about what's going on. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of angst out there. And unless you're going to do something that's going to, like Hasan said, immediately improve people's material conditions, not some sort of a, down the road at some point, this is going to be better, or, half measures, right? In other words, if you're doing neoliberal politics, right? Even as far progressive as Biden was doing, there's a good chance that's not going to be enough. And you're still in this atmosphere where, yeah, you're one political election away from empowering another version of Trumpism. If you don't do something to fundamentally change the dynamic in the country.
Does not,
And when I say the dynamic in the country, I am talking about the leverage that working people have against their bosses. That's what has to change. That's what has to change. The power relations between the working class and the capital class.
Immediately work to fund the NHS and really hire a lot more people and fix public transit and try to fix the housing market in the UK. The Reform Party is going to come in inevitably and sweep. And I'm afraid that is the direction that you guys are heading in. Not dissimilar to what we're experiencing in America.
Okay, my final question before we throw it open to the audience, a simple one. Do you think the world will be a brighter or a darker place in 10 years' time?
Oof. I want to hope that it's a brighter place, but all trends point to the exact opposite of that, it seems. I feel like we're experiencing a lot of chaos all around the globe. Russia has invaded Ukraine. Now they're talking about potentially North Korean troops that might be deployed. Obviously,
Wait, I thought the North Korean troops were already deployed.
Israel is pummeling Gaza and is slated to permanently annex North Gaza. They're still bombing Lebanon as well. There's a lot of back and forth happening there, despite the fact that there was supposed to be a ceasefire.
Yeah, the last I read, Israel had violated the treaty, violated the ceasefire treaty 100 times or more.
With specific carve-outs that allow Israel to continue bombing Lebanon and killing Lebanese people. You have, I guess, the incel president of South Korea that decided to do the shittiest martial law coup of all time, who backed away because quorum was established. That was really funny. But there's a lot of chaos and a lot of instability, and I think more importantly than all of that, there is, especially in the Western world, these liberal democracies that have gone unchecked with no like even ostensibly socialist or communist counterpower, any like other pole that maybe moves people in the opposite direction, have had unlimited neoliberalism for the past 3 decades. And I think we're seeing the impact of that now and what that has done to...
CJ says the Labor Party is very neolib.
That is done to the economy.
Oh, thank you, Truth Seeker.
Individually, and that's done to the public as a whole. Like, I think that a lot of people do not have a lot of optimism for the future, especially our generation and younger, and the economic anxieties that they experience, if left unaddressed, if left unexamined, is going to continue building the otherwise nascent fascist movements that we've seen in many Western European nations and even Eastern European countries as well. You have the AfD in Germany, you have the Reform movement here, you have Marine Le Pen's party in France, Meloni is already in power in Italy, and it's happening.
And you can move there. You can move there and buy a home for $1 if you're willing to get into a little fixer-upper.
It's happening globally. You have Donald Trump.
You want to experience the rulership of the daughter. Wait, is she literally the daughter of Mussolini?
America. Like, these guys are all ideologically...
It's not like the daughter, is it? Is she?
The boundaries of nationalism. And I'm very fearful about the prospect of the future, especially when there's no mechanism of pushback. And, in all of that instability, I think, at least historically speaking, fascism has always been a means to reinstate control, to institute some stability and control. And that's a terrifying prospect for the future. Not to be too much of a downer. So.
Granddaughter.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like...
Now it's time for some questions from the audience.
All right, so now we saw these questions from the audience yesterday. So I'm going to go past here. Just a little TLDR of what the audience said. There were some just normal questions, and then there were some people that were from the community of another streamer and seemed to be trying to ambush Hasan. It didn't really work. And anyway, one particular questioner, who we will refer to as Ron Weasley because of his distinctively ginger look, wouldn't let it go, and in fact ended up talking to Hasan after the event as well. Now this is that was the moderated question and answer. Then there's the I don't know why they call it unmoderated, but I think this was a more informal, like, meet and greet.
For the future of any country, really.
Not really. Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you. That is sadly all we've got time for. I'm going to say a couple of other things in a second, but first of all, let's all say one thank you to Hasan.
Wait, do you see Ron Weasley there? Wait, just a second. Let's take a look and see who we see. Now again, there's Ron Weasley. So if you don't know, this is Cambridge. Cambridge is actually Hogwarts. All the people here are different Hogwarts characters. We've got Ron Weasley. We've got, I I don't think you could see him right now, but we've got Draco Malfoy up behind the camera somewhere, and I'm sure the rest of the Hogwarts cast is there as well.
So, for those of you in the room, tomorrow we will have our final debate of term on the motion, "This House believes the West is hypocritical towards China." For those of you watching online, we are the Cambridge Union. Find us on Instagram and YouTube for so much more. It's great. For those of you who are... So, if you guys...
What's up?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I watch you every day.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Ever since like the election cycle started.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that things didn't pan
It's a new Hasanabi head.
out well for America or the future of this country, or future of any country, really.
Not really, no.
I just wondered, where do you get your information on? Because like you seem to be right on almost everything. Like the election.
I'm sure you could find some things where he's wrong.
I mean, I think like as far as like predictions goes, I'm not like interpreting events or like rehashing what any like legacy publisher is saying or any commentator is saying. It's more so I'm looking at it from the lens of materialist analysis and judging it by like party track record and what has happened in the past. And I think that's where it comes from. But there's still plenty I get wrong. I mean, I still thought that like...
I mean, this would be a great place to drop a little knowledge on ideology versus...
while the Harris campaign was...
versus substance.
taking on a dangerous gamble, I still said that there is a chance that she could eke out a marginal victory in the Electoral College while still losing the popular vote to Donald Trump, and she lost. I thought that the blue wall would potentially hold, and it didn't. So, you know, it's not. I'm not always on the money. I try my best, though. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Top of the hour average.
What?
Top of the hour average.
Oh no, I don't run the ad breaks anymore. So.
He wanted a top of the hour ad break debate.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how like high value this is gonna be.
Do you want it sideways?
People meeting and greeting and taking a picture with Hasan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, nice to meet you.
What's up, man? Nice
I
to
got
meet
a
you.
question that I didn't get to ask.
All right, what's up? Let's hear it. This is a sick jacket. What's going on?
I didn't see the jacket at first, but yeah, it's definitely.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So 2 weeks ago,
It
Slavoj
looks warm.
was at Oxford, and he spoke about similar to what you were talking about with the Western, like nationalist and authoritarian parties increasingly coming to power. He pointed out that one kind of side effect that comes with this is the political class and the media, but also the public, a rise of shamelessness in society.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he proposed that we need an increased shamefulness in how we operate and conduct and act with each other.
Like shame others, or does he mean like we have to be shameful?
So everyone, the political class, media, but the public as well, needs an increased sense of shamefulness as a society to continue functioning. What are your
Interesting.
thoughts on that?
I mean, I think Slavo needs to needs to be a little bit exercise a little bit of shame himself, but
That's true.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting theory. It seems patently anti-materialist, so
But he's very materialist.
yeah. So I don't know where he's coming from with that, but
Okay, so look, here's Weasley. All right, I'm not sure how. Like, yeah, again, we're just gonna
it is what it is. Photos as well. All right, let's do it.
Sorry for questioning you, but I'm sure.
What? No, no. I'm used to it.
I guess the thing I was talking a little bit about was, you know, I know you're not a fan of. I'm not a fan of him either, but you know, Richie Torres sent a big letter. But
Oh God.
But in particular, there were some comments in there about sort of dismissing. A lot of people did feel very upset at the time. I remember seeing it about dismissing Why on October 7th as rape fantasies, rape hallucinations. I mean, the UN has gone checked.
Yeah,
verified.
no. You know what's ironic?
Apologised for those comments?
You want to know what's ironic about that? So that was a 17-second clip that Richie Torres got from a group of people that are like, you know, trying to present this narrative that I am a vicious anti-Semite that is a rape denialist. And what's really interesting about that clip is that I went back because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I went back and I looked at the 17-second clip that he put in that. And it was actually from a broader conversation where I was arguing against someone who was denying rapes. And I was like, no, I think that there is a very high likelihood that sexual assaults occurred. And I even brought up the UN report that you're suggesting that that there was at least one documented instance of first-hand account testimony from one of the hostages that sexual assault had happened, and that there is no reason to disparage or to claim that it did not happen when there is at least evidence that it did, and that it had not changed the dynamic of genocide for me even a little bit. And I think
that the way in which you said that to a lot of people sounded very, very dismissive. Like, especially to people who, you know, had relatives who were perhaps murdered or taken away, or had felt that, you know, the loss of life on that day.
So let me ask you this question.
Traumatic for the Jewish community.
Let me ask you this question. Now that you know the broader context, do you feel as though, like, do you feel like you were maybe duped? I don't want to say duped, but like that you saw this that was like very clearly out of context. Does that change your opinion a little bit, or do you feel like I'm running defense?
I'm very much on the sort of. I've always been on the pro-Palestine side of this. I'm a left-leaning person, so I never looked at what I saw and said this is justification for blockade, genocide, anything like that. But I did see, you know, I'm also a humanitarian, and I think that it's important when you're trying to solve a conflict or when you're trying to stop violence that you honestly say what happened. And what happened was,
I agree.
You know, murderous militants.
I need a body language expert to break this clip down. I feel like Ron Weasley's body language is maybe a little idiosyncratic. I wouldn't necessarily apply standard notions of body of nonverbal communications to this particular individual.
Went in to a music festival and murdered hundreds of teenagers in cold blood, and often massacred and mutilated them in ways that we have on camera. And that is deeply traumatic to me. And I guess this was linking to a broader point that, yes, I understand this whole...
Look, I mean, it's kind of weird to say in cold blood, if I'm being real, right? In cold blood means that there is no, you know, no emotional charge to the situation, right? As to distinguish from like a crime of passion, for instance, right? When we're talking about crime, it's just like a weird way to put it in cold blood.
But there is context to this, and you can't just sort of suggest any violent action is justifiable against someone if they don't hold views you like. But this is endemic.
I don't. But
to
I
the
don't.
ideology
Do you think I? Do you think I maintain that position?
Side, you know, it doesn't.
No. But do you think I? Do you think I maintain that position? Do you think that I think that it was wholeheartedly justifiable?
I think certainly you haven't been very clear in your comments.
There's definitely a difference between something. You know, something's not either done in cold blood or justifiable, right? Obviously, acts, you know, there's a lot of acts not done in cold blood that are also not justifiable.
At times. And I've watched what you said.
Okay.
It doesn't seem, you know, for example,
I
in the course of your talk, you didn't mention what happened on October 7th once.
Yeah.
You mentioned it
Did you even condemn Hamas?
as the start of the conflict. You didn't mention...
I don't even think it's the start of the conflict. I actually, if you recall...
Yeah, the beginning of the speech, right?
Even before the inception of the State of Israel. There's a deliberate reason for why I did that, because I think it's important to understand...
He's like a hybrid of Harry and Rob?
The historical context in which
violent
resistance...
There's no context for murdering hundreds of teenagers, is there?
I think that... Yes.
Context doesn't mean excuse. This is a very black and white thinker that we're dealing with here.
I think there's always context.
Just
like there's context.
Justified?
I don't think it's a contextual justification. I think it's offering background and analysis. Analysis is not justification. I mean, this is a deliberative body, right? We're in a space for free speech and debate. And I think that this is actually, ironically, one of the things that I don't like about debate is that there is a woeful misinterpretation that exists in this space. And that, especially when we talk about certain things, like certain subjects that are very difficult to broach in an open and honest manner, I think a lot gets lost in the nuance. And
I gotta say, lucky for Ron Weasley, he's not reading the chat.
I think you understand where I'm coming from.
This chat is going ham on him.
When I talk about this, like that, October 7 is, I've never said that October 7 is like the inception or the first stage in what has unfolded. I think that it's important to understand the context in which violent resistance has evolved, whether it be Hamas.
But I mean, like, do you understand what's in his underlying assumption there? If you're thinking about October 7th as being the origin point of this current conflict, right? That's probably what he would say. Then you're really not understanding the dynamic at play in Israel-Palestine. If you trace it back to October 7th, the underlying assumption is that things were okay prior. Everything was okay prior to October 7th. You're really missing a lot there. And again, the entire speech that Hasan gave actually did go back to the, prior to the colonization of Palestine,
Or whether it be any militancy against like overarching oppressive colonial actions.
But I suppose what I'm saying to you is there's time for nuance, and there's also time to say something is.
There's not really a lot. Look, the one time that's not for nuance is like a lion just busted into Cambridge, into the building, and is killing people, right? Then maybe don't do the nuance of like, well, actually, is it a lion? Are you sure we've got the species right? That's a time that you don't need nuance. I don't care if it's a lion, a tiger, or a bear. If it's coming into the building and it's eating people, you better get the fuck out of the way, right? That's the only time when nuance isn't needed. When heuristics, need to some heuristics need to be employed, instead, right? But there's a time for nuance and there's a time for not. What he's referring to there is something that he's internalized, which is the way that people like Mr. Divorcepedia try to run an argument into an emotionally charged conceit, right? Well, if you disagree with me, then you're on board with terrorists, right? That kind of shit, right? That's how you strip nuance away and context away from a conversation. In other words, that's how you bullshit somebody. That's how you gaslight somebody. That's how you intellectually bully them into feeling that they have to accept some portion of your premise in order to maintain themselves as a moral person, when in reality, this whole fucking community is full of immoral people. I mean, these are the assholes that welcomed Mr. Girl, the YouTuber famous for characterizing the movie Cuties as being hot. Welcomed him into their arms because you know what? He's morally consistent. We're about to get into the moral consistency here in just a second.
And something is unequivocally unjustifiable. And I'm wondering why you can say that correctly about the wealth of Israeli atrocities. But to actually fix this conflict and gain trust with people, you need to say that unequivocally about the murder of hundreds of teenagers at the Supernova Music Festival, their mutilation and often their rape. And I don't know why you can't say that.
I don't. First of all, in terms of using.
Now, somebody told me that was vodka. There's no way, right? That's definitely water.
The language of mutilation and rape, and
well, why was he looking at the labels?
Also consistently saying that there is a contextual justification for it. I think the violence that states engage in, specifically an apartheid state, which you agree is Israel's an apartheid state. Okay, so the violence that an apartheid state engages in is oftentimes considered to be invisible. There is a tremendous number of documented. There's a tremendous number of speakers and media representatives that have actively communicated all of the violence that has unfolded on October 7. I myself have also maintained the position that any kind of violence against civilians is completely unjustifiable. But I think it's more productive to at least be a resilient voice that, especially in the West, that tries to explain that these aren't barbaric monsters, that these are horrifying atrocities that they did, right? But that it is not coming out of a place of this antiquated anti-Semitic tendencies, or that they wanted to go out and like do mass rapes, or any number of different ways in which people have, I think, in a very unhelpful way, tried to claim that there is no emancipatory ambition here, and that there is no valid interest in wanting to be rid of Israeli sovereignty.
Do you think that by invading the Gaza Strip, that they were not motivated by anti-Semitism, given the fact that they were murdering civilians indiscriminately?
Invading the Gaza Strip?
By invading from the Gaza Strip into Israel.
Yeah.
Do you think that they were not motivated by anti-Semitism, given that they were murdering citizens? No. I mean, that is remarkable.
No,
the entire logic.
No, what's remarkable is that you feel like compelled to cascade to that conclusion, right? You're all gas, no brakes in reaching that conclusion. You're talking about motivation. And because you're like, well, they're murdering civilians, they're doing, bad, it must be anti-Semitic. Oh my God, you're just primed to call it that.
Hamas.
Yeah, no, I don't.
On anti-Semitism.
No.
And if you don't,
And honestly, any analysis of the motivation of a myriad of people is going to contain, like, was there some anti-Semitism from some people there? Possibly, but I mean, it's just like it's not a knowable question. It's not a measurable question. It's a weird it's a weird thing to get hung up on.
Then you're never going to build any trust with the Jewish community. If you have people who are out there and suggesting that your people don't have a right to exist, the slogan of the Houthis who you so admire is death to the Jews.
I know, and I've been very critical of that as well.
Well,
I don't know if
critical enough not to platform somebody and call him a sexy pirate.
That person wasn't I don't know if you're aware.
You called him a sexy pirate, Hasan. What do you have to say for yourself?
This or not, but that was a 19-year-old Yemeni teenager that was actually not associated with the Ansar Allah movement at all.
There is enormous debate about that, and it is highly unlikely.
I love these wonderful conclusions. Well, so therefore, if there's debate about that, right? If there's people out there talking, showing pictures of the dude with a gun and saying, I don't know, looks like he might be involved, right? Again, and you're rushing to this conclusion where you don't have any sort of preponderance of evidence to do so.
You'd be fighting with them if he had no connections to them, and you were not.
He was not. He was not fighting with them.
So many assumptions from Ron Weasley here.
A lot that gets lost in the translation, and certainly I think a lot of commentary has existed in this space of a conversation that I had 10 months ago, or at this 11 months ago, before the Ansar Allah administration was even designated as an official state-sponsored terrorist organization. Joe Biden had actually taken them out of that classification that Donald Trump had put them in because of the fact that they were moving on, that the Saudi-Iranian normalization had taken place. And that person, the 19-year-old Yemeni teenager, I originally thought was a Houthi. And I'm very open about that.
And you were perfectly happy to give him a hang.
Oh, absolutely. I think that there is. It would have been a very different conversation. But having said that, if you think that I would have, there were points in that conversation where I asked them directly, "What do you think about Jewish people? What would you say if I were to tell you that there are a lot of Jewish people who are leading anti-Zionist protests in America?" And his answer was very clear. And this is a person that has.
If you talked to an IDF soldier and they said, "Oh, I don't hate Palestinians," you would critically engage and examine that. But you do not critically engage and examine with this individual. And instead, you
look. You could be an IDF soldier and not hate Palestinians and still be engaged in a genocide. On some level, intent is not the question here. When you're talking, it's just...
In many circumstances is living in similar conditions to someone like myself. So I treat someone in the Western world with Nazi ambitions very differently.
No, I think this is interesting because it suggests that you don't have a moral...
There we go. We don't have a moral universality.
What I've heard from you is...
I treat someone in the Western world with Nazi ambitions very differently.
No, I think this is interesting because it suggests that you don't have a moral universalism. What I've heard from you is this very eloquent, and I agree with it, moral condemnation of the atrocities. But when we talk about the murder of gay people en masse in Yemen, when we talk about, for example, Tibet's oppression under China, or when we talk about what Hamas has done to gay people within that, or what they do to Jewish hostages, you enter this contextual blather. And it strikes me that these...
Because you want to know why? You want to know why? Because...
So for me, now I've seen people make videos of Hasan talking to this guy, and he's always characterized as a Destiny fan or a DGG member or something like that, right? And I was kind of like, well, I mean, is he though? You know, I'm like, I don't want to make any, I don't want to rush to judgment either about his motivations, but yeah, we do start to see a constellation of subjects that they've expressed a lot of interest in, subjects that they can twist optically to paint Hasan as being a fundamentally immoral person, a bad actor, and therefore to be able to cast away his critique of the actions of the IDF.
Israel has killed significantly larger numbers of gay Palestinians than Hamas has. And that is precisely why...
But it was at this moment where I started to suspect, yeah, I think this guy probably is...
It's a universally unproductive conversation to consistently talk about the many different moral failings, especially when I look at this with my own personal background, with the understanding that reactionary movements grow when there are outside forces that are invading a country. This is something that I actually talked about with respect to Ukraine as well, that while there were many movements within Ukraine that were constantly fighting against paramilitary groups that had started off as like offshoots of football hooligans, the Azov Brigade being one of them, that once Ukraine was invaded by Russia, that the inevitable violence was going to make all of the most right-wing reactionary forces the emancipatory forces that were going to dominate the country in perpetuity. We saw this with Iran. The destabilization of Iran, backed by the CIA, caused the Ayatollah to overtake the country, because in most circumstances, when Western forces or an outside force is coming into your country, you don't care about who is actually fighting back. You just want the pain to stop. You want the violence to end. And I examine this across the board in the exact same vein. When a larger, more powerful country meddles in the affairs of a smaller country, Iran. No matter how big or small. Yeah, Iran, exactly.
In the face of external domination, anyone fighting back will be viewed through a heroic lens, right? Regardless of what their, motivation or connecting thread is, in the case of socially reactionary groups.
Exactly. Iran is a perfect example of this. I think that the Iranian destabilization and the implementation of the Shah regime is quite literally the reason why the Ayatollahs were able to gain momentum.
The intervention of Iran in the other powers, but in terms of the broader problem with that.
But do you understand where I'm coming from? Because there is universality there, and I think the universality is hard to grasp, especially if you've grown up in the United Kingdom, or if you've grown up in America. It's very difficult for people in the Western world to shed themselves of Western chauvinist frameworks and engage in, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but engage in what I have seen as pinkwashing by consistently talking about the internal dynamics of any kind of resistance group, when in fact we do not make those considerations for many of our allies, and it's not even something that is remotely brought up in this conversation as far as like universality goes. I've never heard any...
Yeah, he's invoking universality when really what he's showing is reductivism.
We got to stop giving Saudi Arabia weapons because of the horrifying treatment of gay people. I still think it's unjustifiable, just like it's unjustifiable in Yemen. But ultimately, the way I look at it, if there is a much larger, much more powerful country that is getting unlimited weapons from the most powerful country on the planet, and they are engaging in wholesale slaughter, I think analyzing or interpreting the dynamic of like Hamas and gay people in that regard is ultimately not only unproductive, but also it's not something that is within our realm of power even. I think that these countries, my country, Turkey, for example, will inevitably, once they have breathing room, have the time.
So in other words, the dynamic that's being enabled as far as internal resistance in a place like Palestine is more out of our hands to be able to affect than the dynamic of the thing that's causing that resistance, that being the domination and sovereignty over the Palestinian people of the Israeli government and the Israeli military.
An opportunity.
So which of these things can you affect, right? Well, obviously Israel by potentially withholding weapons.
Be able to advocate for their own civil liberties, because at the end of the day, the gay people that Hamas could potentially harm are still gay Palestinians. Does that make sense? And it's in it, and we have the benefit of living in the UK or in the United States of America, where we have undergone this process of civil liberties and advocacy for civil liberties, and be able to overcome these issues like the structural hurdles, the systematic discrimination that gay people face. Like, I mean, think about Alan Turing.
I think there are two issues. Sorry if I just could respond quickly.
If I can just say,
You've had quite enough, sir. You've had quite enough.
for a very long time, and by all means.
Sorry, I don't mean
No, it's fine.
I would love to sort of offer some of Cambridge Union's sort of fantastic hospitality, maybe.
I would love to see the story behind who this guy is. Anyway, that is the debate. Now we're gonna move on really quickly. We're gonna take a look at the Hawk Tuah situation, chat. Like I said, the Hawk Tuah situation is crazy. All right, and apparently Coffeezilla has covered this. I'm a little bit confused though. When I look for Coffeezilla's channel, all I find is Voidzilla. And I'm wondering, has the channel been taken down? Like, where's Coffeezilla's channel? Anyway, there's this video. Let's dive into this though, not face first. Let's take a look at Moist Critical's an assessment, because again, I haven't looked at this. We might have to get into Coffeezilla tomorrow, because like I said, I can't even find Coffeezilla's channel, and I'm not sure what's going on here. I do know though that we need to take a look at this, because like I said, chat, Hawk Tuah situation is crazy.
Girl launched a meme coin. That's just like a term they use, calling it a meme coin. It's really not. It's just always a scam coin. It's made for the sake of rugging her viewers within the first hour of its launch. And I feel like everyone in the world should have seen this coming, but somehow still they were able to make tens of thousands of dollars rugging idiots.
My Hawk meme coin is live!
And so, as you can see in the community note, 90% of the token supply has been sniped and being sold on the community. Buying this highly speculative Hawk coin could result in loss. Just giving people a fair warning, which wasn't heeded. So what ended up happening is what everyone knew would happen. It got rugged. Instantly, pretty much, within the first 2 hours. So then Haley Welch's PR team made this post talking about the Hawkonomics, saying the team hasn't sold one token. Baloney. I'll call horseradish on that. We tried to stop snipers as best we could. Also, huge dirty barnacles on that claim too. And then once again, a community note. The team and insiders have actually been selling their tokens since launch. Majority have never purchased anything and have only sold the token they were given. Haley is lying and will likely have to talk to a judge about this. Community note, just dropping a fucking pun on it. Cold turkey like that. Might as well. But yep.
CryptoZoo.co.
We live in a world where Coffeezilla will now make a Hawk Tuah video. That's why this tab's open here. I'm just waiting for him to drop the the Hawk Tuah video. I'm very excited for it. The idea behind goobers putting money into things like the Hawk Tuah coin is they know it's going to rug, but they really think that they'll be the ones to capitalize off the rug. They'll pull out at the perfect time, completely oblivious to the fact
They think they have the feel.
that insiders
Could feel the rug.
are the ones that actually make the money, not the idiots that buy in thinking.
Yeah, smart money and dumb money, right? That not to be insulting, but if you know about the industry, if you know about the business, if you have the more inside knowledge you have, the more smart your money is, and smart money tends to take dumb money over time. If you're an outsider, if you don't have any insight into the investment, then you're just literally you're just guessing that you can get out right before the rug gets pulled.
That somehow they're smarter than the scammer. Like, you're not in on the scam, you are just another one of the pawns on the board. You are just another little dime into the piggy bank.
Okay, so I did find Coffeezilla's channel. There's just no video up on there's no Hawk Tuah video up on Coffeezilla. It's only Voidzilla.
You'll never beat the rug. Imagine getting rugged by Hawk Tuah girl in the year of our Lord 2024.
Imagine falling victim to Hawkonomics.
Again, you absolutely fucking deserve it. Like, this is a scam where the only victims are the ones that actually deserve it. This is a lesson that you needed to learn. And Haley Welch took you over her knee and disciplined you. And I know they're still not going to learn their lesson. They will once again just dump into the next fucking shitcoin from pump.fun. Why can't I find the graph again? Because it's like
This is what I wonder. The kind of person that would fall victim to a scam like this seems like maybe the kind of person that would have fallen victim to NFT, or like there's so many different things. After being scammed countless times, like, don't these people learn? Wouldn't you think there'd be like less marks out there?
a beautiful rug graph, like the most... Oh yeah, here. Someone even put it as a Christmas tree. It's just like the quintessential Solana rug graph. I know, man. People are actually begging to just be scammed over and over and over and over and over again. I guarantee if Jack Doherty went...
Am I watching a live stream of a live stream? Yeah, technically.
Live on Twitter right now, saying that he's doing another meme coin, people would buy in and he'd make another 20 grand off him. Easy.
It was so peaceful.
You see that the Rizzler got disrespected by Hawk Tuah girl?
Oh no, not the Rizzler.
I know you're making like a meme off of the absurdity of like the names and the
I always forget that the Rizzler's a real person.
Shit, like just the full culture around it. But you know what's crazy? Is if Hawk Tuah girl did disrespect the Rizzler, it's the worst thing she could do for her career. She can blatantly scam these idiots on her Twitter. They're not gonna care. They'll still tune in to talk Tuah for whatever reason. Ironically, I guess. But if there was the story about how she disrespected the Rizzler, they'd all just leave her. A Rizzler level event would be the worst thing that could happen to her. But she can run these pump and dump scams till the fucking cows come home. It won't affect her. The Hawk Tuah fall off is crazy. No, what's crazy is that there isn't a Hawk Tuah fall off. She just had Mark Cuban on her podcast.
Oh no, God.
It's disgusting.
So if you don't know, Mark Cuban was one of the billionaires for Kamala. Not really as many on that side, but it was hoping to influence Kamala in a more right-wing direction. For instance, the Biden administration had done a lot with the National Labor Relations Board. The Biden administration had Lena Khan. Mark Cuban was doing everything he could to assure his fellow billionaires that Lena Khan would be removed under a Kamala Harris. So yeah, this is somebody that campaigned for Kamala and probably did more harm than good. This is part of the reason that Kamala lost, is that she listened to guys like Mark Cuban.
Actual industry plant that is thriving in the biggest possible way, and now just full goatsy scamming her fans, actually dropping trouser, shitting on them.
She spit on them.
It's not gonna matter.
Hawk Tuah.
Coffeezilla is live with a Hawk Tuah girl in a Twitter space. Oh, he's already on the case? Let's go. I had his channel up earlier, waiting for when he'd hop in.
Oh no, it's about to get worse, chat. We're about to watch a live stream of a live stream watching a Twitter space.
There's no rug pull, and it's not done by us. Yes, snipers sniped it up to an insane market cap.
No, it's
and
not
dumped
the
it.
snipers.
That was not us. That was
You know that.
Listen. No. I'm telling you the truth.
And y'all made millions on fees from this little.
Coffee, listen to him. It wasn't them.
I'm sure that's not you getting those fees, right?
Not a
Who's making
scheme.
the money
It's
on
not
the
a-
fees?
it's
Who's
not a
making
scheme.
millions of dollars on fees from this rug pull?
That's not a scheme. That's the
Who's
project, so we
fees?
can keep this thing going for years. That's how do you think
The Hawk Tuah coin for years.
Who makes the money on
I
the
love
fees?
that.
Someone just made over $1 million on fees. Who made it?
First of all, the fees were there with Meteor
Can you hear Coffeezilla on the Twitter space okay? The audio's not great.
pools, and that goes
You
to
can turn it up a little bit.
the creator, right?
Which is who? Who does that who does that belong to?
That belongs
God.
to the project, right?
No.
project?
God owns
Who is
it.
the project?
This is a.
Well, the project is over here,
Who-
Haley Welch, right? And
How much
there's-
does Haley
and there's a
Welch
lo-
own?
This is Haley Welch's project.
So she owns all of it.
Coffeezilla.
Did she just make $1 million on fees on a rug? I'm just trying to figure out
Do you know
who-
how much it costs for lawyer fees to create a foundation in the Cayman Islands, to hire directors? You think this stuff pays for itself?
You think that these... What?
Right?
So y'all wanted to make the money on day one? I don't understand. I'm just asking.
We're
who
here every
actually
single
makes the
day.
millions of
Day
dollars
one,
in fees from the
day
rug.
So first he denies the rug pull, then he justifies the rug pull.
Day three.
This guy's really bad at avoiding
This is how you
questions.
run a project forever.
He's not even slipping out of it
You
super
have to fund
effectively.
that.
I thought that Coffeezilla was going to bring Hawk Tuah on.
And time and people that are
I feel like Hawk Tuah could do a better job defending herself. She could do like an aw shucks thing, you know? She's got the perfect accent.
this project. Over here has around 8
I'm a simple country girl. I don't know anything about no rug pulls. Honest.
people working on this right now as we speak. This is not a small time type of nothing.
It is literally a nothing.
here, and not just do it for one.
It is actually a nothing. It's a Hawk
It is a shit coin.
Tuah coin.
The money. You haven't answered
Spit coin.
the question. Who made the money? How much did Haley Welch make of that million,
Two-
1.8
it's-
million?
It's a foundation that is running.
Oh.
How much does she own of it?
It's a foundation. She owns zero of the foundation.
So y'all
The
made the money?
foundation. No, I don't own the foundation either. A foundation in the
Brother,
Cayman Islands.
who profited? Over $1 million was just
I'm
made.
telling you, a foundation that pays people out. And by the way, Coffeezilla, I'm not.
It's just is it a force of nature? Who owns it?
That are
It's so
irrelevant to the
simple.
most important stuff. Because we didn't pull a rug. I don't know what you're trying to say.
No rug pull.
Defamation.
Doc,
you're saying,
do the
Coffeezilla.
math. Do
It's
the math.
Defamation.
It's like taking
Wait, who covered for him? Who covered,
a shit and telling me there's no poop.
3%.
You're defaming our character. You're
not
it's,
going to
it's
let me
bullshit.
talk? You
It's bullshit.
just talk over me. You talk over
No,
me.
I'm hearing bullshit. So why?
No,
why
you're
am
not.
I
You're
He just denied it. Hold on,
Lay out your
I'll pull this up
tokenomics.
again real
You
quick.
guys released 3% to the Meteora pool. Wait,
who's the real Rizzler? Look, I feel like I was using the term the Rizzler for somebody who was either to make fun of somebody who was trying to Riz somebody but wasn't doing it very well, or I guess it could be unironic too, but like I was using it like that until I realized that no, there's actually a kid named the Rizzler, right? He's on those Costco videos, right? He's the third Costco guy, basically at this point, even though he's not related to the father and son team that does the double chunk chocolate cookie and the chicken and all that, right? It's the Rizzler is a person. Somebody's laid claim to that label, so yeah, it's.
you have 17% of the token allocation unlocked day one from your strategic allocation. Are you guys insane? What do you guys think exactly is going to happen when your insiders get sent their tokens? And by the way, who made the money from?
What I want to know is like, why do Moist Critical and Destiny seem to like not use a noise gate on their mic? Okay, sorry, chat. I'm asking you questions about audio. I don't understand. Like, is this an ASMR thing going on? Is there a reason that they seem to be miking the fuck out of their desk?
From your 17% pre-sale while you're giving a tiny piece of.
I gotta be real, chat. I don't know what the fuck that chart means. The one with the circles?
the pie to the public. Like, what the hell? This is the worst tokenomics I've ever seen, and it is a scam.
It's not a scam.
It is literally a scam. Actually a
You can
scam.
say whatever you want about it. You
Definitionally a scam.
defamation. That's my opinion. It's a scam.
Well,
And I only do this for a living. I've only seen a million of these.
He's like, I'm Coffeezilla. I would know.
This one's different, Coffee.
You, Coffeezilla. Let's.
This one's different. It's Haley Welsh.
Turn it around.
Over here, why don't you tell Coffeezilla what we're doing with this project?
Where did the fees go? Where did the money for the pre-sale tokens go? Why
I love
did
the
y'all
who pays you,
unlock
Coffee.
one so people could dump on Haley Welsh's fans? And how involved was she really? And how much?
What just happened? They muted him.
I just got muted.
That must have been a glitch. Must have been a glitch.
Yeah, so I mean, like we as mentioned, like we raised a 17% strategic allocation that was done at a 16.69.
Oh my God.
Valuation. You know, we tried to kind of keep that kind of premise here was that we had the restriction. Like we heard the request for us to do this in a public manner, and I think that we having consulted with like
You were saying fucking nothing right now, and you're saying it with a big lisp.
I guess like the legal.
He's about to just start talking about dedicated wham.
And kind of mitigate any kind of consideration.
This is nothing. Just answer the simple questions Coffee is posing. Who owns it? Who made the money?
Americans. That 200 people participate. A lot of people within the industry that were very supportive of the vision. Because I think that they
Why even listen to this bullshit if he muted Coffee? Because he's got to unmute him at some point.
I think that
Coffee and Connor Eats Pants are in here spamming thumbs downs.
This could be like a little bit of a paradigm shift. I mean, like I said, nothing that we've seen thus far with
it's a hawk Tuah rug pull shitcoin, man.
In a sustainable manner.
He's yapping about nothing.
Of longevity of an extended time frame, and we're just trying to like try something different, right? Like I said, we went back to first principles and kind of tried.
Did they answer any questions yet? No.
Way that we think
no.
Makes sense, by we kind of felt ultimately that was probably the best representation of who were her true fans.
These are actual just filler words of nothing. Actual nothing.
Running this initiative that
he's speaking just
into the hands of the
that's
people
all.
that are going to be most supportive of her and like.
Yeah, chat. A noise gate is like if I tap lightly on my keyboard. Oh my God, that's not lightly. That was so not likely that it made the video go full screen. If I just tap lightly on my keyboard, right, you won't hear it, even though it's making a noise. I can hear it. You can't hear it because there's a gate that says if a noise is under this many decibels, we're just not going to play it, right? That's a noise gate, and it's great because, maybe a cat is in the background meowing, and maybe your roommate is making noise, right? Well, if it's lower than a certain threshold, you're good.
I kind of really engage with it.
Holy.
I just want everyone to, be respectful.
Yeah.
But yeah. Listen, this is something that means a lot. Go ahead.
Is it a chart for their wallets, their crypto wallets? I don't know how this shit works.
Go ahead, FaZe Banks.
Appreciate it. I just heard.
Oh hell yeah! Now we got FaZe Banks. FaZe Banks is gonna straighten this all out.
Blab about
I'm glad that FaZe Banks is in here.
pretty much nothing. I just repeat the same shit that he said before.
I mean, he's not wrong.
You said something about Web 2 in layman's terms. That just basically means 90%, 97% of all the tokens owned were by related wallets, friends of friends of friends of friends. They were
no, that's not true. It's not true.
Yeah, yes, it is true.
You can see it. You can see it.
Brother.
Yeah.
You're talking about some fucking, what did you say, in the Cayman Islands?
It's how you legally launch these types of things. It's a foundation. But listen, this isn't a bundled scam. This is and prove that they were not sold by us. So the bubble map stuff was totally false. It's not what happened.
Oh,
so this is all a lie.
Over here, maybe you can.
They're the trustworthy ones at the Hawkonomics.
To these different wallets, and clear up a lot of this. These allegations that are just false.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of like.
Oh God, not this guy.
The different wallets and stuff like.
Whoever guided you in this, or whoever directed you to do this, or gave you the advice to do this, you should fire them immediately. And yeah.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here.
Yeah, I'm doing the best I can. Thank you, FaZe.
Was that a Looney Tunes sound clip? What was that?
That was Hawk Tuah girl.
Cool. There's day 2, there's day 3, there's day
Bulletproof
4.
response. Bulletproof. That's how you handle it.
Single day memeing. The key is to actually onboarding her real, true fans. This might not be for
Sounded
everybody.
like Sandy Cheeks.
Not a big deal to us. We ain't going anywhere. Haley's not going anywhere. And the Hawk Tuah meme is definitely not going anywhere. Yes, they were from the deployer wallet, but they're put into wallets for her true fans to claim. They were not sold.
For the real fans.
The true fan
want to make that
prestige
very,
level.
very, very clear. But listen, it's all love. I understand everybody around here is kind of used to the same thing. There's only
I hate what this is going to do. Like, the more of these rug pulls that exist, the more that, like, YouTubers and streamers and anybody that cultivates a community is going to be, rightly so, regarded with some serious suspicion. Like, this is such garbage that, like, this is the fucking meta. You build up a community, you gain people's trust, and then you fucking rug pull them?
one way to prove that this is not just like everything else, which is just not give up.
This is not like everything else.
Right? And keep going.
I know everything else is ripping you off, but we're definitely not ripping you off. This is a real community here. We care about the Hawk Tuah community.
Keep doing everything, you know, that you possibly can.
Inspirational.
Right?
Inspirational.
To keep it pushing. And the
He's
only
right.
way that it's a rug or the only way that it's a scam is if you give up on it. And that's the one thing that we can say is no one's given up on this.
Mm-hmm.
So over here.
Yeah, that's right, Timothy. Who knew that the meme coin of the girl that spits on penises would be a scam? Who could have imagined?
Or if you want to ask Haley some questions, let's like, you know, like Haley is somebody who's an incredible person, and she's had a lot of fun memeing. She really enjoys X. I think we have.
She really enjoys X.
Really stick with the facts.
What the fuck?
And we can show all the transactions, right? And we've had them analyzed now. We can show all the transactions. That's the thing, is like the blockchain doesn't lie, and we will publish those transactions.
You just said you were literally just saying that it does. Sometimes when it makes you look bad.
Yes, it got 90.
Blockchain doesn't lie.
It was 3%
unless
97.
It's doing something bad for us.
That was held back.
No, I mean, I just wanted to be like, you know, obviously Haley's been through a journey, and like, you know, this launch has obviously gone the way it's gone. But yeah, I think that maybe it'd be helpful for the community to kind of hear, you know, Haley's story, because ultimately, you know,
they're trying so hard to push it onto Haley right now.
like the coin is
Guys, we need to think about Haley's feelings.
Narwhal _ super chatted $5. Twitch is down.
Just Twitch? Is YouTube okay?
We only told her that she was going to make a ton of money from this. She didn't know it was going to be a rug pull.
Thank you for the super chat, Narwhal by Nature.
Haley, take it from here. We're going to leave.
Like, everybody resonates with Hawk Tuah as a meme. It's like one of the most viral memes of all time. And like, you know, like I think people have been making a lot of money off like derivative works, and you know, people have launched a bunch of fake tokens, which is, maybe the launch didn't go the smoothest. But like, yeah,
That's one way of putting it. It didn't go the smoothest, huh?
Showing up every day, trying to run the project. I think Haley's here for the long term. You know, ultimately, like her career.
YouTube is good.
You know, like just kind of starting.
Huh.
You know, like you know, she's accomplished a lot of amazing things in this short period of time. And you know, like obviously resonating.
I'm not showing any issue with Twitch. Try hitting reset.
You know, really strongly with the global audience. And I think, yeah, I think it'd just be useful for color if
It went down for a few seconds, then it came back.
share a little bit about that original story.
Oh no.
Kind of paint the picture here a little bit of how she's constantly tried to, like, you know, build community and like use I guess what she's built to kind of like
Oh no, Jink is making more content. Look, I gotta admit, okay, of all the stuff that I've been covering lately, the Anna and the Jink stuff is the stuff that's like wearing at me the most. I actually enjoyed covering Peterson last night. That was fun. I actually enjoy, you know, some of the Ethan Hasan stuff, right? But for some reason, I don't know. I kind of wish that Cenk would stop tweeting.
The broader community and be very inclusive, and you know, like she's done a lot of cool stuff around like charity, and like, you know, I think she really cares about dogs and stuff like that, and I think it's really cool to see.
What are you
like,
saying? What are you saying?
She cares about dogs.
What in the world?
She cares about dogs.
I went over to Haley's house one time, and she let me in. She let me in the door, invited me into her abode. Me. This woman is an angel.
Yeah, I don't know if Haley, that's something you're comfortable sharing with the community, or if you feel like it's a little bit too sensitive, or how you feel about that. But I definitely think that it's helpful for the community to have that color.
Yeah, guys, I'm just here to have fun. I don't really have a full
Wow, it looks like we bounced some people on Twitch.
wrapped around this whole thing, but I'm figuring it out every day, and I'm here for the long term. My skin's getting thicker every day, and the hate's not gonna stop me. I'm here every day.
It's just hate.
Trying to work on
It's just haters.
this and get better at it. But I'm not going anywhere.
It's just haters talking about a rug pull, whatever the fuck that is. I'm just a simple Hawk Tuah girl. I don't know anything about that.
Hey, thanks for summing that up. I'm glad I lost all my money. And now it's all good. Hey, you're having fun?
Like,
all right, that's what it's all about.
Get tough, and this was a learning you can integrate in all these different things she's doing, including her podcast every Tuesday. I mean, she literally, you know, is talking about her meme token on a really big podcast, on a charting podcast, and onboarding and talking about, you know, these memes, all different types of memes, all different memes that everybody holds.
Now I'm just getting an advertisement right now. Can I skip the ad?
Bringing awareness to it. So it's like, it sucks that everyone like wants to, you know, see it fail.
It did fail. It immediately failed.
Of it.
Well, it didn't fail for you guys.
The 13 douchebags unite.
So I mean, that's my belief. That's why we're doing it. We're doing something, you know, super innovative in my opinion.
Innovative.
You know, with the meme token.
Dag nabbit, he's right. We've never seen something like this before.
Go ahead, man.
They won't unmute Coffee.
Yeah, the next time anything like this happens, just tell people, try refreshing, and if it works, tell others to refresh too. Because we just lost like the majority of that Twitch audience.
They refused to unmute him.
I completely agree.
Like, I think they just didn't know to try refresh.
I would urge you guys as well to share at least what you know now, because while people are here, you know, they really
Yeah, no, for sure. You know what I mean? Like I said, like, I mean, it was, I haven't, you know, like, I mean,
Okay, well, look, I've gotten enough of this. I feel like I understand what's going on. I feel like I understand not to trust a meme coin. And I think we're good. I can't stand Dan. It was definitely Dan. Anyway, we're going to continue the stream on YouTube regular. If you're watching on Shorts, you can come and join us if you would like to. I'll give you the link, in fact. We're going to be talking about Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian making the rounds. Apparently, my work is never done because Cenk is on PBD tomorrow. He's doing more of this shit. Gotta get a plug-in for the podcast, right? What is Dan? What is Dan indeed? But yeah, come on over, hit that button. I'm going to end the stream in a few minutes, and you might be rated in or you might not. So your best bet is just to hit that button if you want to stick with us tonight. Oh my gosh, Sasha G, thank you for the super sticker. How
it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
How's it going indeed? I mean, I'm having a Hawk Tuah night. We are up to now what looks like is it 40% of the goal? So we're 40% of the way towards that bonus content. What's winning though? I haven't checked. Ooh, Bad Empanada is ahead by 2 points. Right, Dershowitz in second with getting roasted on Pierce. Goku Naru's and the H3 Fan Revolt is in third place, and Vosh and Destiny Collab is in fourth place. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. All right, so we're gonna get into the interesting part of the night. We're gonna get into the titular topic. Are you ready? Are you ready for the titular topic? I'm gonna read you into my stream over here. Thank you for the follow, Greg. So we're rating in. Yes, indeed. The talk to a. Oh my God.